Yes, indicated the old man. Assuredly, said d'Avrigny. Sir, said Villefort, striving to struggle against this triple force and his own emotion, sir, you are deceived, no one commits crimes here. I am stricken by fate. It is horrible, indeed, but no one assassinates. The eyes of Noirtier lighted up with rage, and d'Avrigny prepared to speak. Morel, however, extended his arm, and commanded silence. And I say that murders are committed here, said Morel, whose voice, though lower in tone, lost none of its terrible distinctness. I tell you that this is the fourth victim within the last 4 months. I tell you, Valentine's life was attempted by poison 4 days ago, though she escaped, owing to the precautions of M. Noirtier. I tell you that the dose has been double, the poison changed, and that this time it has succeeded. I tell you that you know these things as well as I do, since this gentleman has forewarned you, both as a doctor and as a friend. Oh, you rave, sir, exclaimed Villefort, in vain endeavoring to escape the net in which he was taken. I rave? Said Morel, well, then, I appeal to M. d'Avrigny himself. Ask him, sir, if he recollects the words he uttered in the garden of this house on the night of Madame de Saint-Méran's death. You thought yourselves alone, and talked about that tragical death, and the fatality you mentioned then is the same which has caused the murder of Valentine. Villefort and d'Avrigny exchanged looks. Yes, yes, continued Morel, recall the scene, for the words you thought were only given to silence and solitude fell into my ears. Certainly, after witnessing the culpable indolence manifested by M. de Villefort towards his own relations, I ought to have denounced him to the authorities, then I should not have been an accomplice to thy death, as I now am, sweet, beloved Valentine, but the accomplice shall become the avenger. This fourth murder is apparent to all, and if thy father abandon thee, Valentine, it is I, and I swear it, that shall pursue the assassin. And this time, as though nature had at least taken compassion on the vigorous frame, nearly bursting with its own strength, the words of Morel were stifled in his throat, His breast heaved, the tears, so long rebellious, gushed from his eyes, and he threw himself weeping on his knees by the side of the bed. Then d'Avrigny spoke. "And I, too," he exclaimed in a low voice, "I unite with M. Morel in demanding justice for crime. My blood boils at the idea of having encouraged a murderer by my cowardly concession." "Oh, merciful heavens!" murmured Villefort. Morel raised his head, and reading the eyes of the old man, which gleamed with unnatural luster, "Stay," he said. M. Noirtier wishes to speak. "Yes," indicated Noirtier, with an expression the more terrible, from all his faculties being centered in his glance. "Do you know the assassin?" asked Morel. "Yes," replied Noirtier. "And will you direct us?" exclaimed the young man. "Listen, M. d'Avrigny, listen." Noirtier looked upon Morel with one of those melancholy smiles which had so often made Valentine happy, and thus fixed his attention. Then, having riveted the eyes of his interlocutor on his own, he glanced towards the door. "Do you wish me to leave?" said Morel, sadly. "Yes," replied Noirtier. "Alas, alas, sir, have pity on me." The old man's eyes remained fixed on the door. "May I, at least, return?" asked Morel. "Yes." "Must I leave alone?" "No." "Whom am I to take with me?" "The procureur?" "No." "The doctor?" "Yes." "You wish to remain alone with M. de Villefort?" "Yes." "But can he understand you?" "Yes." "Oh," said Villefort, inexpressibly delighted to think that the inquiries were to be made by him alone, "oh, be satisfied, I can understand my father." D'Avrigny took the young man's arm, and led him out of the room. A more than death-like silence then reigned in the house. At the end of a quarter of an hour a faltering footstep was heard, and Villefort appeared at the door of the apartment where d'Avrigny and Morel had been staying, one absorbed in meditation, the other in grief. "You can come," he said, and led them back to Noirtier. Morel looked attentively on Villefort. His face was livid, large drops rolled down his face, and in his fingers he held the fragments of a quill pen which he had torn to atoms. "Gentlemen," he said in a hoarse voice, "give me your word of honor that this horrible secret shall forever remain buried amongst ourselves." The two men drew back. "I entreat you," continued Villefort. "But," said Morel, "the culprit, the murderer, the assassin." "Do not alarm yourself, sir, justice will be done," said Villefort. "My father has revealed the culprit's name. My father thirsts for revenge as much as you do, yet even he conjures you as I do to keep this secret." "Do you not, father?" "Yes," resolutely replied Noirtier,